Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I probably look tall. Maybe it's just me. The camera's angled up and I got this new balance board to work on while I stand. I don't have a standing desk. I just stack things up so I can stand at my desk. I got this new balance board. And this is angle. I guess it's not really angled up, but I look like I'm 6'7" or something. Maybe not that tall, but let's just pretend that I am. But anyway, in this video, I wanted to talk quickly, I always say quickly, but we'll see how that goes, on a concept kind of tying into what I learned about Tim Ferriss recently. So I have a newsletter called The Sum Up. Me and my brother run it. We're trying to make it the biggest self-improvement newsletter ever. So good topics like how Tim Ferriss used fear setting to make $100 million. So people that you know, concepts you haven't heard of, that are novel, that can actually help you improve your life. So we tell you how Tim uses it. We try to story tell. And then we give you how you can apply it to your life. And we're trying to do a lot of cool shit. We do fully branded, custom images that my brother makes because he's great with graphics, design, all that shit. Immersive audio, fully immersive audio. So that's full on narration with sound effects. Any type of storytelling we can. We want to put you in the story. So when I say we're trying to make this the biggest newsletter, I'm serious. We're trying to be very, first principles with it. And try to think outside of the box. What do newsletters not do? Audio, immersive audio, because people say immersive audio and it's just a fucking narration. So anyway, that's the elevator pitch on that. But I was writing about Tim Ferriss and how he uses fear setting. And one of the things that he does in fear setting is, I think it was the third page, he said he would do this cost of inaction thing where you say okay, I'm going to do this thing, and the cost of inaction, what is it for 6 months, 12 months? And I think he said as far out as 3 years, because once you go further, it kind of gets hard to perceive that. But I was taking that idea and kind of mixing it with the cost of inconsistency, right? And I think it's a dangerous game because what you do when you do, it's such a weird back and forth because it's doing a good habit is good, right? And it's better than if you weren't doing the good habit at all. But it's almost not. And I can't really, because I tweeted this a long time ago. And someone kind of came back and was well, not really. And they're kind of right? Would it be better if you worked out once a month or no times at all? Obviously, once a month is better than no times at all. But here's what happens when most people do things like this, including myself, and we all have it in our areas, right? The cost of inconsistency to me is feeling like you deserve results when you haven't done the actual work to get the results, right? So, is doing one workout better than zero? One workout a month better than zero? 12 a year? Yes, it is. But at what cost? At the cost that you may look over the year and say, I went to the gym, I did it, And not everyone's like this, right? Some people can be real with themselves and say, okay, I only went 12 times this year. I look a little bigger, but I should not really be giant, right? But what most people will do is convince themselves that they've done the work that was required to get the results that they really want, when that wasn't the case. So I've been thinking about this in terms of just the things that I do that I guess I'm not consistent with, right? Even YouTube's a good example. I don't have a reason to be consistent with this. And that's a belief, right? But I just do these when I want to. Part of me is oh, I don't really want to force it. I want to do it when I want to. But I was well, if I did one a day compared to one a week, because that's kind of just what I average out to, what would that mean for me? Say I didn't get any subs, any views, anything. Would I get better at talking? Would the channel have more credibility? All of these things would be true. And it would be a habit. That's the most important part, is that you think that doing these few more reps won't do much, and it does a lot. To go from one a week to one a day is huge. So to discredit that much volume, again, it's not even more volume. It is more volume, but it's just one a day. It's not you're cranking all day. It's no, just do one a day. That's it. But if you did one a day in every little thing, if you meditated once a day, if you worked out once a day, if you made a YouTube video once a day, if you tweeted once a day, if you journaled once a day, right? If you did one rep of every thing, but you did it daily, that's the problem. Is it's one rep, but you got to do it daily. You would be so far ahead. And I think I'm starting to realize how big that is, because time really does compound. Time does things. Like if you look at this channel and I have 7 videos or I have 365, that's a huge, I mean, I just pulled those numbers out of my ass, but like you get it. Like that is a huge, like, wow, this guy has been consistent for a year. Or he is a binge bank. So when people find me, one video goes viral, they're like, oh, I'm going through 365 videos. Boom. Right? So I wanted to make this just because it's very interesting to think about how things kind of slip and slide. Meaning like the downfall of you delaying something by a day is so big because for starters, if you delay it by a day, it might never happen, right? I mean, I know how many things in my life I've said I'm going to do it tomorrow. And even knowing that people say that and still don't do it, I still have my areas where I do the same thing, right? Where I'm like, oh, I'll do it. But it's just like it's just a slippery slope of like you saying you're going to do things and then you don't do them. And that day mattered. Like you don't think that day mattered, but it did matter. Because if one day doesn't matter to you, then no days matter to you, right? It just becomes this little thing where like almost every little thing matters, right? Because if today didn't matter, what does matter? Because it's always today, right? So it's like if you allow yourself to kind of slip out of it or not even get into it in the first place, which is kind of where I'm at with certain things, what are you doing? So again, this came from the cost of inaction, but I'm making it the cost of inconsistency. Because back to what I was saying before is like, you're going to convince yourself that you deserve the big time results when you partially committed to the thing. So like you're going to hear like a YouTuber say, oh yeah, I grinded for a year. Here's the problem. What inconsistent people do that don't make it, they will probably also grind for a year, but not 365 days of the year. They'll grind over a year. So like, let's say I upload a video a week as opposed to a video a day. I still grinded, but it was over the course of a year, right? So it's like you didn't really do what they said. This happens a lot where people just throw out advice and it's just like, people just won't do it because it takes time, right? But what you will do and what I do, and even if you don't think you do, like you might do it in a certain area, like I have my thing, you might have your thing. It's like not really the gym for me. The gym hasn't been an issue. You will just convince yourself that you deserve outsized returns, that you are equivalent to the people who have done the thing for a year. And that is where my problem comes in of like, what's worse, right? Because you could take the one workout, the one video, right? Is it better to do a singular bicep curl? Is it better to do a YouTube video? Yes. All of these things are way better than doing none. But the problem is if you just do them when you feel like it and all over the place, one day you're going to be like, why am I not swole? Why do I not have 1 million subs? And you're going to be pissed. You're going to be upset. You're going to say, well, what the hell? I've been doing this for a month. No, you haven't. You've done it twice this month. It's been a month. You've done it twice this month. It's not the same thing. So this is where my issue comes in with like, what is worse? And again, I can't figure it out because it's just like, yes, it's better. Like a video is better. A workout is better. But if you are that type of person, I think it's a problem because then what you'll do is you'll just be upset for no reason. Well, I mean, you have your reason, but it's not valid. You have the reason of I've been doing this for this long. You haven't been consistent with it, right? You can't do something over a month and then compare yourself to someone who did something for a month and be pissed that there's a gap there. They did it for a month. You did it over a month. You did it twice that month, right? That's not the same thing. So I just wanted to make this because there's certain things that I think I let myself slack off in. I'm sure we all have our things, but sometimes I'm like, I pride myself a little too much on the things that I do well on and not enough on the things that I could be doing more of. Because I have a lot of time in my day. And I'm just like, am I happy with the amount of work that I get done in a day? Because it's not, like, there's no reason I couldn't do a YouTube video a day. Now, I can sit here and say, oh, well, you know, it's I got to feel into it. And like, that might be true. Like, you don't want shit videos. But it's like, volume might be good. And is it just like, maybe it just requires some thinking before the video, right? Just like these ideas just build up, and then eventually I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna make a video. So why don't I just cause that rise of just like, oh, here's an idea. Well, I want to talk about it. That's probably not that hard to do. So it just kind of got the cogs turning of like, what areas of my life am I being inconsistent in? That consistency would mean everything. And there's a lot, right? Like, I don't even know the things I am consistent in. Like, I can say work, but like, what type of work, right? Because I do a lot of things. So it's like, which things are you consistent in? Okay, I work on my newsletter. What area are you consistent in with the newsletter? Is it the writing of it? Is it the like what I and like there's other things I do. I do like short form content, like for people. That I suck at, right? I slack off on that a lot. These YouTube videos, right? And it was just little things where I'm like, you think that doesn't matter, right? But if you let it compound and build, just like it can be great for you, it can be horrible for you. And eventually you just, time did its thing and you're like screwed, right? Because something happened, right? Like if I slip on the short form, I don't think it means much for me right now, right? I'm just like, it's just a day, and then it becomes another day and another day. And then eventually I could reach a point where like the guy's just like, yeah, I got someone else. And I'd be like, huh, how dare you? What the hell? But it's like, that's what happens. You slip once. Because you slip once, you allow yourself to slip twice. Because you slip twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And there's no repercussions. So you just keep slipping. And then eventually reality is like, hey, dude, you've been fucking up for a long time. Here you go. And then you're just like, dude, what the hell? Right? So that's kind of a separate rant in itself, but I thought that, I mean, it's quite relevant to me. So I wanted to bring that up. But yeah, think about the cost of inconsistency for you, right? Because it might be high. It might be extremely high. Mindfulness meditation is another one for me where I'm just like, there's benefits, but like, do I? It's like me making excuses, right? And I'm like believing my own excuses, or maybe I'm not. I know I'm bullshitting, but it's like these lies that I'm telling myself that like I don't really need, or like work's more important. It's like, okay, like you can't spare 15 minutes, as if I'm sitting here grinding on my ass all day. Like it's not an all day thing, right? You have 15 minutes where you fucked around and did some shit that would have been better off if you were meditating. So it's like, what things are you just like letting slide that the cost of inconsistency is catching up to you? Because guess what's going to happen? I meditate once every 2 weeks randomly, right? I'm just like, oh, I have time, I'll do it. And what's going to happen? I'm going to go, it's going to be 4 months. I meditated, Wednesday at 3 for 10 minutes, and then Saturday at, 7 for 30 minutes. And I'm just getting all over the place, right? I'm doing it random times, random days, random lengths of time, all this shit. And then 3 months are going to go by, and I'm going to be like, dude, meditation, it's, even if it's subconscious, right? You're not saying it, but in the back of your mind, you're like, this shit doesn't work. Because you're just reinforcing it. It's like you haven't even been doing it consistently. And now the back of your brain's going to be working, being like, this shit hasn't, it's never worked for me, It's never worked. Have you done it? Have you done it for a long period of time consistently? It's just so stupid. Like I can picture me or someone else saying that. Like it's just not my thing. It doesn't work for me. It does. It doesn't work for you because you don't do it. Because you can't do it for a long period of time. It is so funny how a day just compounds, right? And how much, like I'm starting to realize how much the little things matter. Like a day matters because it is the slope, the slippery slope that leads to your rise or your fall, right? Because if you let it slip, it's just going to become every single day. And you're just not going to fucking do what you say you're going to do. Like I have let meditation slip for me, dude, so long. And it's so weird because I pride myself on the gym, like all the time. I'm just like, it's like subconscious. It's like a mental thing, but I'm just like, I don't pride myself that heavy, but it's one thing I've been able to do for a long period of time, right? You pride yourself on your ability to be consistent. I've been consistent with not meditating. So I'm consistent at that, but I want to be consistent at meditating, right? So it's like, I've let that slip so many days. And because it's been so many days, one day doesn't mean shit to me. Because I'm just like, oh, I could do it tomorrow. It's like I'm keeping like a negative streak. It's like a negative streak of like, oh, I haven't done it 14 days. What is one more, right? And that just compounds. And then it's like, well, how much better of a person would you be if you did the things that you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do them? Just 15 minutes a day of meditation. Think about how much better of a person I would be in a month. I'd be more mindful, maybe. I'd be more present. I'd be more calm, more insights. That's big. And you don't think that's big. You think, oh, it's just a day, and days a week, and weeks a month, and you're the same person. And you didn't do the things you said you were going to do. And then you can't help but think, what was the cost of inconsistency? What was the cost? And on the alternative side, it's like, okay, you did one thing, you did two things, but what is the cost of inconsistency in terms of you doing it a few times, but not sticking with it? And the cost of inconsistency there is that you might feel like you deserve. You feel, I deserve some shit, when you don't, which is almost worse because now you're putting in half-assed work, expecting full results, and you're not receiving them. And you feel betrayed because you feel like you're owed that when you haven't done the work. You've half-assed the work, right? So yeah, I hope this video helped as always. There's an insight into my mind, what I'm thinking. And yeah, I think it was a good little rant. So I will catch you in the next one. Peace.